but I am here to find out. Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is Ivana if you're new here, and you may be familiar with my uni diaries or my graduate diary series, but I also used to make a lot of book content, and I've been saying for the last couple of months that I want to film a reading vlog and get back into filming more book content. So today is the day, essentially, and I'm going to be starting us off with a reading vlog, which I'm really excited about for a couple of reasons. First of all, we are 4 months into the year and I have read a total of just four books, which is actually abysmal for me. My reading history in the past has proven that the earlier part of the year is where I read the most, and then I have a bit of a steady decrease around spring, and then it goes up again. And this year has just been very unsuccessful with reading. I've started a couple of books. I haven't finished many books, as you can probably tell, but I am ready to get back into my reading groove. And I think part of that is going to have to come with me being disciplined about picking up a book every single day and getting pages, chapters, something read. So that's what we're here to do. We're here to get my reading groove back. I haven't actually selected all the books I want to read this week. I have an idea of what I would like to complete, but I am currently reading a book that I'm going to chat with you guys about in just a second. I am kind of teetering between contemporary realistic fiction right now, so I think I might stay in that realm for this video. But most of the books I've read this year have been fantasy, and I think that is predominantly where my heart lies, so I might have to come back and do another reading vlog with mostly fantasy reads or even thrillers, because I haven't read very many thrillers, but I do want to read a couple more, or I do want to read some this year. So let me talk to you about the book that I'm currently reading. The book that I'm currently reading is Twice as Perfect by Louisa Onome, and this story has honestly done its work in kind of getting me out of the funk of not being able to read. It's light enough, it's interesting enough, it has a lot of things that are very relevant to my experience or have kind of got me thinking about my experience. The story follows our main character. Her name is Sophie to some, Ada to others, and she is a bicultural girl. She has Nigerian parents, is very much engaged in her Nigerian community and culture, but is also living in Canada and has a North American identity that a lot of people in her life are solely familiar with. And so this story is really thinking through identity and what does it mean to be the child of an immigrant and to live between two cultures and the difficulties with trying to reconcile your identity in that way. It's also a story of like the immigrant child who is trying to fulfill their parents' dreams because their parents sacrificed everything for them to be where they are. And you kind of see the weight and burden of that expectation in Ada, or Sophie's, life. The story focuses on the fact that she has to be twice as perfect because a couple years before, I think about 6 years, her brother, who was another one of their perfect children, decided that he had virtually had enough and decided to up and leave. And since then, the family has been filling the void of his absence with her perfection. They don't talk about her brother, they don't acknowledge him, and honestly, nobody in their community really does. And she has always wondered, why did he leave? What happened that day? But in order to kind of fill the void that her parents feel, she has to be the perfect child in everything she does. And obviously that is an exceptional amount of pressure for anybody. So that's kind of what the story has been about thus far. I'm really enjoying how it kind of oscillates between her two worlds, like of being Sophie and being Ada, and how sometimes they kind of intertwine and mix, and she's like scrambling to figure out like how do I salvage like the image people in whatever respect have of me. You kind of see this partly in relation to like two guys that she's interested in, one who's from her like North American Canadian life and one who's from her Nigerian life, and she's two different versions of herself with them. But you can only uphold two identities for so long before everything comes crashing down. And so I'm very interested to see like the conclusion of the story and how everything comes to its conclusion. But yeah, I hope to do some reading today, or I shouldn't say I hope to do some reading. I will do some reading today. I'll film it, I'll update you guys, and yeah, I'm so excited to share my reading journey with you this week. And fingers crossed we will have a minimum of 2 books complete. A minimum. That's all I'm giving myself. So let me know what you guys are reading, and yeah.
You're meant for me. You I adore. You're sent to me. For you I do more. My destiny that I have searched for. You're meant for me. My destiny.
Okay guys, I have a bit of an update. So I was reading last night and I was reading this morning, and I have a couple things on my mind. I think the first thing, and this was mainly from last night's reading, there was a post I came across on TikTok a few days ago, and it was local Nigerian readers kind of responding to how Nigerians in the diaspora typically write about home and how sometimes it can feel disconnected or kind of like exaggerated or almost peculiar to the culture because they're kind of grasping at straws of their own remembrance or things that feel like very broad and like overly stereotypical, and then just like throwing it into a book. And it's not that I feel like the story is necessarily doing that. I think more so it is trying its best to explain the culture to the point where it feels like it's over explaining. And I think that's because I'm Nigerian. I am very aware of like how pidgin sounds, the foods we eat, and so there's just something about the over explanation that is actually quite overbearing for me. It feels like the audience is a North American audience, which is why these things need to be clarified. Otherwise, you don't really need to explain what jollof rice is. Even some of the pidgin feels very jarring in this book, and I've read books that have pidgin in them. Even thinking about like some of Wale Soyinka's short stories or like plays, and it feels more organic. This feels disconnected for me. And yeah, I'm trying not to feel like a little bit of cringe because I do think I'm enjoying the story quite a bit. It's just, it feels a bit clunky in certain areas because of that. However, I am enjoying like the actual story, the plot. I think we're at a point where our main character is really starting to kind of confront some of the pressures that she's been feeling and express that in a way that is almost antithetical to what she would have done in the past, because she's kind of adopted this mindset that like, if it doesn't get me to where I'm going, it's useless, particularly with like the arts. And so yeah, it's nice to kind of see her breaking away from that a little bit. I am curious to see how things go because she just made a suggestion that I think is going to turn left very quickly. Very quickly. I was like, girl, why would you even ask for that? Because it's not gonna go well for him. But anyways, we will see what happens. I'll be back with another update pretty soon. I think I want to get a little further in the book. So yeah, those are my current thoughts. Kind of sporadically just decided, since I'm heading to a cafe to get work done, that I'd bring you guys along. And yeah, but let me show you my outfit really quickly because I think it's very cute. First of all, I'm wearing this Ralph Lauren like vintage corduroy hat. My mom had this way back when and I've adopted it into my own wardrobe. And then I'm wearing this brown blazer. It's oversized. It's from Zara. I'm wearing a white shirt and then baggy blue jeans. These are tried and true blue jeans from H&M. I've had them for a few years now and I think they're probably my most worn pair of denim. So yeah.
My destiny that I have searched for.
you space. If it makes you feel better, I'll always make time to see you again.
I have to say, it feels incredible to have finished a book. Okay, I'm feeling like, I don't know, I deserve a round of applause because it's not been easy, y'all. I don't even know. I feel like this book took me through a round of emotions, and I just need a moment to process. I just need a moment. In all seriousness, this book pulled out so many feelings of visibility, of frustration, of anger, partly at the kind of experience of being double, in that you're living between two cultures. You feel like you're vying for the approval of your native culture, that is that of your parents, to be seen as Nigerian, to be seen as Igbo, or whatever it may be, and then also to move between the threads of the culture you are currently inhabiting and living in, which in this case is North American, Canadian culture. And I think for me, my biggest fear has always been being consumed by the culture I'm growing up in and being seen by those of my native culture as an outsider or a complete foreigner, when my culture, my heritage, the history, the custom, the music, the clothing, all of it is so important to me. And I think that's played a huge role in my own personal interests, academically speaking, the literature I enjoy reading and whatnot. I think another thing that was kind of not new, but really jarring to read up close, is the experience of a lot of immigrant children whose parents are so set on them living a particular life. And I think I'm blessed in the sense that my parents have always supported what I want to do. I wanted to do law at some point, just like our main character, and then eventually I was like, just kidding, I don't want to be a lawyer anymore. And my parents were completely in support of that. For them, do what you're good at and what you love. I really love the perspective and trajectory the story took. I also have to say that aside from thoroughly enjoying this story, I feel like I was frustrated with the main character so many times. She got on my nerves, y'all. She was pissing me off. I'm not even gonna lie. She was just, I don't know, there was just something about some of the decisions she was making or some of the thoughts she had that I was just like, girl, get over yourself just a little bit, I understand, but also you are sometimes the problem. Currently thinking, how am I gonna rate this? Because I don't remember how I rate realistic fiction to begin with, but I'm gonna say my starting rating is probably gonna be at a 4, and I'm gonna think about maybe things that I take away from that 4-star. Usually 5-star reads come in two varieties. This is truly an exceptional literary masterpiece. No questions asked. I didn't even have to be crazily obsessed with it. The quality of it, the writing, the story, the characters, that was enough to captivate me, to grab my interest. And part of that is if I also am academically interested in a book, it tends to lean towards a 5-star because I'm picking it apart and I'm seeing how incredible the story really is by doing that. So a lot of the books I've written about tend to teeter towards high ratings because and they tend to be literary fiction as well. But the other 5 stars, this was an experience reading. For me, Fourth Wing is not a literary masterpiece, but it is an experience I cannot express. I can't put it into words. And that also constitutes 5 stars. So this book is not an experience and it's not a literary masterpiece. So it's not a 5-star. Let's start there. But it is good. It is good. I really enjoyed the conversation. I feel like it's very important. And I really liked the trajectory of the story. Did it get on my nerves at points, at times? Absolutely. but that already puts it at 4 stars for me. I feel like I'm teetering between like a 3.75, which is a high rating, or a 4 star. But I feel like 4 star feels a little generous. We're gonna sit on it and we're gonna think about it. But for now, I want to figure out what my next read is because it's Wednesday. I got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday to finish my second book. So I am actually going to take the cover off because I kind of messed up the cover of my last book. Not that it was messed up, but it's just like peeling at the edges a little bit. That's what this looks like. Very beautiful, by the way. And let's get into it. I love books that have art in them. Maybe not like picture books, but some pictures, if you know what I mean.
Sorry, you have to go. You're retired. I'll drive you home and I'll pretend.
I started What She Missed yesterday, and I don't think I gave you guys like an update of what the book's about because honestly I didn't know going into it what it was about. But this book is following our main character, Ebony, or Indigo, depending on the name that she's going by. Her family has just returned to their small town where she spent her summers growing up and where her grandmother also lived but has also died in that specific town. And from what I understand, her grandmother was like maybe a lifeguard, swim instructor, and that was their life. Like she also, Ebony, grew up in the water and has always loved it up until this point where it now kind of haunts her. And now she's back and she feels like her life is falling apart and she is kind of standing between her past life, the life that she always dreamt and aspired for herself, and seems to be working through the next steps, essentially. Yeah, this is like very much a reflective kind of story, I feel like, and I am enjoying it. The writing is really beautiful, so yeah.